Well, welcome everyone. I am here with a couple of my good friends and fellow administrators of the Chicago Marathon Runners Unite page. And we just wanted to share, we've all, I don't even know how many times all of us combined have run Chicago, but we plus other marathons. So we just wanted to share some of our tips and tricks on what to expect, and then also be here if you guys have any questions. And first, we'll just do little quick introductions. And I am Coach Denise. I actually founded this page, the Facebook page, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago. I can't remember. But Chicago Marathon was my first. See, my 1994 Chicago Marathon t-shirt. Yes, we used to get cotton t-shirts back in the day. And we didn't have chips on our bib or our shoe. And this is going to be my 30th Chicago Marathon, and I think my 153rd marathon. Yeah, so I've done a lot of things wrong and a lot of things right. I think I've done more things wrong. Um, but I will pass it on to, we have Pilar, Coach Pilar, who is also an admin for this page. And it's so ironic. So if you guys haven't done New York yet, you have to. I love New York. And I think I love New York as much as Pilar loves Chicago, and she's from New York. So Pilar, just share a little bit about yourself. Coach Pilar, she's a coach too.
Hey everybody, Coach Pilar here. This will be my fifth Chicago marathon, my 17th marathon overall. And then I'm doing New York too, which will be my 18th. I can count amazingly. Um, and I have not raced as much as Coach Denise, but I've done a pretty good number of marathons and ultra marathons since starting running in 2015. Um, I don't know. That's all I have as far as introductions are concerned. I'm just back to running after some major surgery last year. I had a what is called a tibial tubular osteotomy, so I had some bone moved and shifted back into place. So Chicago will be my first marathon back from that surgery, and I'm just excited to be able to get back onto the pavement and to be running again. And it's kind of like, to me, it's like a miracle. So it's like a first marathon all over again. So
Def,
that is
def,
all I
yeah, definitely a miracle. I remember when like you couldn't even go from like chair to the couch.
That's right. I
And
couldn't
then when
even
you got
walk.
to finally walk, and that, so yeah, so that's why I always tell my runners, like, whenever they don't get the time that they earned right in a race, I'm like, if you were injured, you would be grateful to even run a mile. So, like, just put things in perspective. It can be taken at any time. And so Pilar, New York was your first?
Yes, New York City Marathon was my first marathon. I had seen, um, her name is escaping me, but I think it's O'Beary, Helen O'Beary. I could be wrong, but she won that year, the year previous, and I saw her running, and I just was like, oh, people run this distance for like medals? Like, what is happening? And I just was so inspired by that, and I wanted New York City to be my first one. And then everything, things kind of escalated very quickly from there. I just found myself like on the running train. It's just been it's just a beautiful thing. Running literally changed my life. So
Awesome. And then one last question, real quick, and then we'll move on to Nicole. So what is one word to describe your first marathon?
um that's a good question. One word. I think taking it back to like where I am right now, it would be grateful, because I did get injured in the training process, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to complete it. So I was very grateful to be able to run the marathon at all. And what I learned about myself in the process was that I literally, if I put my mind to it, I can literally do anything. So,
Hell
yeah.
yeah. Awesome. So now we'll move on to Nicole, who is not an official coach, but indirectly she has coached a lot of people, many timers and future second timers to their first marathon. So Nicole, just share a little bit about how you found marathoning and a little bit more about yourself and who you fundraise for.
Is Nicole, you want Nicole M? Because I think there's two Nicoles.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh my God,
Okay.
'cause I haven't met the other Nicole yet.
Oh, okay. You're welcome. Okay, so my name is Nicole Micah. My very first marathon was Chicago 2017. And I was very much inspired by my late husband, Mike, he was the true marathoner. He had been running marathons like every year. He raised funds for the MS Society. And so I spectated for him in 2015 and 16. And I was like, I think I might want to do this. And so I jumped on the marathon crazy train and ran marathon in 2017. Um, and so currently I'll be running my 8th Chicago, and it'll be my 23rd overall marathon. Yeah. So, and I run for Team Paws. So I've run for Team Paws every year since 2017.
The woman leading this call has done like over 100 marathons.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, I like compared to some people, like I'm like complete like newbie, new.
Oh, lady, what do you think?
Give it 5 years.
So,
Okay. And then Nicole, what's a word to describe your first marathon from way
oh,
back when?
it was just amazing. Like I kind of went in and, my husband was like, just remember like your number one goal is to finish and like this, you're going to PR because it's your very first one and to just take it in and just enjoy it. And that is exactly what I did. And it was amazing. It was so amazing.
Awesome. I forgot I had another question. Did you ever think you would do another one when you were signed up for your first?
I wasn't sure, but then just all of the excitement is like it's just like very electric and very kind of addicting. So like, oh, I want to do this again. Like, and so yeah.
Awesome. I forgot to ask you that, Pilar. Did you ever think you would do another one? Not after you crossed the finish line, but like while you were training and the day of, like.
I I literally didn't think that I could run a marathon at all, even as I was running the marathon. Like as I was doing it, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. So it wasn't until I crossed the finish line that I was like, oh my gosh, like I just ran a marathon. And so I think I probably knew immediately on crossing the finish line that I was going to do it again because I was just like, this is amazing. Like, just like Nicole said, the addiction factor. I was just like, holy smokes, I want more of that. I
Yeah.
want more of this feeling of I can do anything. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I forgot to share mine, but I do this a lot with my future second timers, ask them for one word to describe their first marathon. Because part of the reason I ended up becoming a coach is because I wanted to share what the marathon did for me internally with other people that were like me, because I ran in high school, but I wasn't even that good. If I was fast in high school, I would still know my times rightfully. So I never thought like someone in the back of the cross country team could do a marathon. I thought it was for people that competed at the state level in high school or they got a scholarship. And then when I did the marathon in 94, my sister did it the prior year. So what she did is she turned something I thought was superhuman and humanized it. And when I ran Chicago, I said, never again, uppercase bold fonts, never, ever. No, I was done. But it was so long ago. I don't remember how much time passed before I said I had to do it. I have to do it again. and I have to get faster. That's what we do a lot. First, we're like, no, you don't understand. I'm only doing one. I just want to get this off my bucket list. And then once you see, like Nicole said, how electrifying that day is, and that it is possible, you did it, and then it's like, okay, now I want to try and get faster. That's how I ended up at 153 and counting. So my real quick, my word for to describe my first marathon is I'm cheating, life igniting. I'm using a hyphen because what that day did, what that finish line did, it like gave me the confidence I've been searching for in my life, and it ignited this little empowerment engine, and we all have one. And I feel like it lit this empowerment engine within me, like, what else can I do? And I went on to do a bunch of other scary things, but that's a separate call. So let's get down to business and talk about Chicago. And then also, you guys, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat. Okay, so welcome to the taper tantrums. I'm sure you got ants in your pants. And just think back to the days when you know, Friday night and you're like, oh, I don't want to do 14 tomorrow. Can't I just get a free pass, get out of jail? I mean, running. The taper, you hardly have to run. It's finally here, right? So basically during the taper, it's all about getting your mind and body ready for that extra 6.2 miles or 4.2 miles, depending on how long your long run was. I recommend get a deep tissue massage if you can. And then now's a great time if you listen to music. Maybe reach out to your cheer squad, ask them for their favorite go-to song and make a playlist that you can use during the race. That way, even though some of your cheer squad won't be at the race, they'll come to mind when you listen to that cheer squad or that cheer squad list. Yeah, that's what you can call it. And then like 5-10 years from now, you're going to have that awesome playlist that people close to your heart made for you. Yeah. And like I said, if you can get a deep tissue massage, and then also at a minimum, I recommend in my runners, if you get one at least marathon week. The marathon's on Sunday. Try to get a massage before Thursday at the latest. That will help make your legs a little springier. Okay. And then also you have plenty of time to mentally prepare for the wall. In all my decades, I don't believe I have decades of marathoning, but in all my decades of marathoning, I can probably count on both hands how many friends have never hit a wall at a marathon. I've always hit a wall in a marathon. So be ready for it. And what I mean by that is, like yesterday, I did a race in Flagstaff with my sister. It was the furthest distance she had ever done, and it was on a trail. It was in Flagstaff. It was 26 kilometers. And we got to a point where it was just beautiful and we were taking lots of pictures. And then it was like crazy climb. And then sun beating down on us. And I could hear her, she's like, rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, I feel that way too, but I switched the dial in my head. I switched that radio station I have on, and I tell myself, I'm like, Dawn, this happens to all of us. But when this happens, this is how we earn the shirt. This is why the race shirt means more than any shirt you could buy at Dick's, Lululemon, Temu, or however you pronounce it, right? Because there's grit in it. And also, that's why everyone doesn't do this. So when it gets hard, remember you've done hard things. Think of all the hard runs you got through. Aside from your long runs, I'm sure you had weekday runs that were a struggle bus. Like and you got through them, and then everything was okay, right? It will be the same with the wall and the marathon. You will get through it. And I just tell myself, like, when I have that bad station on in my head, I just tell myself, nobody puts baby in the corner, not even baby. And I just change. You're at a fork in the road, and you can like complain and growl like my sister and be angry and want it to end. And believe me, I used to be that way, but through a lot of help with my therapist, I'm not like that anymore. And my own enlightenment from getting older. Or at that fork, you can say, I've done hard things before. This is going to pass. This is why everyone doesn't do this. this is how I earn my shirt. I mean, think about it. When we put on a race shirt, it means more than anything that we bought just by exchanging a debit credit card cash for. There was no grit involved, right? And then one last thing is, when you're struggling, and you may be stuck on that bad station, pretend like me or Nicole or Pilar or your niece, nephew, your colleague, someone is next to you and they're doing what my sister did yesterday. What would you tell them? And then rewind yourself. Yes. So we embrace the wall because we know we're tougher than that. And again, it's just if we didn't have the wall, that finish line wouldn't mean as much. Right? It'd be too easy, and we don't grow from easy. Okay, so enough about the taper, and then I'm going to pass it on to my other coaches, and they can share their tips. So race week to-dos, just kind of like the taper. Race week, focus on getting sleep, and also a couple days before, focus on electrolyte loading. Not just hydrating, also have your electrolytes, especially if it's going to be hot. For Chicago, it's way too early to determine what the weather is going to be like. 1 in 5 years, we have perfect weather, like 45 to 55 degrees. If I could predict what it's going to be, I would be a very wealthy girl. But we ran in all conditions. And again, sometimes when the weather is not runner friendly, it makes the shirt or the jacket worth even more than a not so crazy weather race. I did Boston in 2018 where it didn't stop raining until the next day, and it was like 40 or 50 degrees in cold. It was like cold rain going sideways, pelting you and the volunteers in the face. And I don't remember what number Boston that was, but it was an ugly jacket that year. I didn't like the colors. And I'm like, ugh, I'm not getting it. It was like cute orange and blue. And I'm running that marathon. I'm like, I'm getting that jacket because that jacket has extra grit. So again, it's all about mindset. If the weather is for crap, just know that 2 things. The shirt is worth more because we got to fight with more grit. But then, like, also when I'm in a race and it's ungodly hot, I tell myself, I'm not the only one on this race course that thinks this sucks. Like, we're all making up swear words and hating what we were given today. So just, go with the flow. You're going to go with the flow. Okay. And then, let's see. Okay. So you're going to focus on sleep. You're going to hydrate, and, you're going to have your playlist already. Also, a really good thing is if you listen to, music or audibles or podcasts. And if you didn't know, Spotify, if you remember Spotify, this started a couple months ago, you can now get audio books for free on Spotify. So I canceled my Audible. But the point with that is download whatever you're going to listen to your phone, because then you won't be streaming and using up your battery. And then also figure out where your cheer squad's going to be on the course. If you look at the map, which you have plenty of time right now to go through the athlete guide. But if you look at the map, you'll see that there's a bunch of 2-for-1 spots. Same with New York, where like you can, your cheer squad could be at mile 4, and then they can walk 2 blocks west and see you at mile 8. There's also, so try to get a 2-for-1, and then also the Chicago Transit Authority, the CTA. The course map will have like CTA stops that people can take to see you on the course. So it's very spectator friendly. It's very pancake flat, and there will be like more than 1.5 million people running, cheering you on the course. And I say 1.5 because this year will be 50,000 runners. It will be the biggest field we've had. Yeah, so figure out where they're going to be. And then they haven't released it yet, but have them download the app. Okay, and then the expo opens on Thursday. I recommend as best you can do not go Saturday. It's the craziest and the crowded, and they may run out of stuff. But if you have to go on Saturday, I recommend, it's like going to Great America. you want to get there before it opens, like a half hour before it opens. That's like, I'm going on Friday, and I'm going to be in line a half hour before it opens, just like when I was little waiting to get into the park at Great America. Yeah. And then I already talked about that. I have a little cheat sheet so I don't go over and have time for questions. Yeah, I kind of talked about that, in that, you know, our mindset is everything. I mean, we all know the marathon running is way more mental. Anything that we want is way more mental than physical, because, like, I know, I had friends that they lost a bet. This is back in the day when you could sign up for the marathon at the expo. Imagine that. Well, they lost a bet in a bar that they couldn't do a marathon, and then 3 weeks later they're running a marathon, because again, like, nobody puts pig in the quarter. So, you know, just have your mindset ready. You are ready for it. And then also huge, you know, I don't know if you guys have done a triathlon, but I've done half Ironman and Ironman, and I'm definitely afraid of water. Going back to the October 30th, 1994 Chicago Marathon, remember how I said it gave me courage to do other things I'm afraid of. But you know, the most I'd swam in a pool, I think, was 2 miles. But when you see the course out, like when you see 2.4 miles in the lake, that I literally start crying. I was so intimidated. And where I'm going with that is, a lot of times what we do, what we've accomplished before we even cross the finish line is, we lose sight of. So for instance, a lot of my beginner marathon plans have about 550 miles season to date, if that's a word. I'm a CPA, so year to date, month to date, quarter to date. I just came up with that. But anyway, if you think about it, that is literally from running from Chicago to Memphis. So what I want you guys to do, you have time, take your time, go back and look at, like, how many cumulative miles have you run before you even hit the start line? And think about think about when you're on a highway and you're on a road trip, and where your destination is 400 miles away, and you've gone further than that with your body and mind, right? The other thing is, you know, maybe go back and look at your training, and even this is a season, like if you're coming from doing halves and 10Ks, or you're even new to running, like maybe this is the first time you've never gotten injured, right? Or the first time you ran your furthest distance, or your fastest mile. So yeah, like, if you're looking for inspiration, just go look in that bathroom mirror. Okay. Okay. And then, my number one piece of advice, I have 2 main pieces of advice, is to make sure you have your name on your shirt on race day, because you will get so much energy. And this is something you can't really understand until you feel it, but you just got to trust us. Put your name on your shirt, because all those people on the sidelines, they do not want to say, go number 45,002. They want to say, go Pilar, go Laura. And you will get so much energy from that. And you can either go to Michael's and Joanne Fabrics, or get the iron-on letters. I've done that before. Or, oh my gosh, where do I have it? Oh, it's in the bottom of the box. It's in the bottom of the box because I have my wrist. Get some bright duct tape. Okay, the best brand that sticks to your shirt is called duct tape. Get it? Clack clack, DUCK. So I have a bunch of bright colors. Like, you put a couple strips on your shirt so you have a thick line, and then you take a big old Sharpie, and of course do it when you're not wearing it. It's easier. your letters won't look like a serial killer wrote them. But you put a couple strips of duct tape, and then you write your name really big. And I will give you your money back if that did not help you on race day. Okay. And then of course it's too early to figure out your true outfit for race day, but I'm hoping, like, I think ideal weather is 45 to 55, but we've trained in super hot weather. We've trained in crappy weather. We don't know what we're gonna get, but we're we're gonna power through it. So now real quick, race day. So it's a great, again, it's pancake flat. You're gonna see so many different areas, neighborhoods of the city. Pilsen's my favorite. You're gonna have to write me and let me know what your favorite is. But if you can, so my two key pieces I tell anyone if I only have like a minute with them is whether they're many timer or first timer is name on their shirt and negative split. And this is from my own experience. There were so many times because in the taper, we build up to that 2022 miler, right? And then we bring the mileage down. We have lots of time in our head. We bring that mileage down so our body can heal and be ready for race day, right? And so you got all these ants in your pants because your body and mind is used to running so much weekly mileage, so much long mileage. So then you get into this electrifying start corral, which is my friend had me on her podcast and she's like, what's your favorite part of the Chicago Marathon course? And I said, start corral, because there is so much like, you are the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And so for me, I'm always at races, I'm around runners, I coach, and just any start corral, even if it's like 100-yard dash, right? Or 5K, every person in that corral, like has drive, grit, powers through when they want to quit. Like, why wouldn't I want to be around that? And let alone, at least like 14,000 of our fellow running mates in the Star Corral are charity runners. And so we're all running for ourselves, but they're also running for a cause near and dear to their heart. So that's the most powerful place I've been, and I've been all over the world, 7 continents. Yeah. So going back to negative split. So like you're a horse in the gate, and as soon as the gun goes, like it's so electrifying. And as soon as you cross the chip mat, I am on your shoulder. Denise said, cool my jets. Because honestly, the race doesn't start. It doesn't start when you cross the chip mat. It starts about mile like 18 to 20. Sometimes it started at mile 16 for me. So I mean, think about your long runs. Didn't you feel great in the beginning? And then like maybe the last 20 to 30%, that's when it was a struggle bus up here, right? Because the legs weren't listening as much to the brain. So if we already know the latter part of the race is going to be a struggle bus, why don't we save some spring in our step, right? And how you can do that is like for me, I'll listen to a podcast like the first 5 miles, and then I put my dance music on, or I listen to old playlist. And then after the first 5 miles, I put my dance music on. Or say I'm shooting for a 4.5-hour marathon. I will start with the 4:45 pace group because they will help me slow my roll. And then mile 5, 5th, I've had a lot of caffeine. I slowly break up with them. So shoot for that negative split. Because this was me before, this was Denise 1.0. Again, I'm off a taper. There's so much, you can't, again, this is something you can't understand until you feel it, but the Star Corral is bonkers. And so I would cross the chip mat and I'm like, this is awesome. I rock, I'm passing all these people. And then around 16, I'm like, this sucks. Most of the people that I passed are passing me, and I am having to dig even deeper to get keep going one step at a time. But Denise 2.0, when I negative split, I'm like, I still have spring in my step for when it gets hard. So a lot of those people that didn't listen to my advice, I start passing them. And then when you're passing other people that went out too fast out of the gate, then you get a little oomph to counteract all that extra mental grit you have to dig into. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's all I wanted to. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is know your flight time. I always say to treat a race start like your flight time, and you do not want to be stuck in a TSA line when your corral is taken off, right? So and honestly, it's the only time I'm on time is for races and flights. Ask my family. Yeah, so the good thing about Grand Park in that area is, and also like the CTA will be great that morning to come in, because it'll be taken over by runners. But as you get closer and closer to, well, even as you're coming down Michigan Avenue, it's like you will see all kinds of people with all kinds of running mates with their gear bags, and experienced and first time Chicago marathoners. Just ask anyone around. That's what I do when I go to New York, is I just look for another runner with their gear bag, and which train do I take? Can I latch onto you? But then once you get close to Grand Park, there will be gazillion volunteers there that are there to help us. Like, where is gear check? Where should I enter for this corral? And then yeah, so it will be, it's not as intimidating as it looks. And then what was I gonna say? But make sure you're ahead of time, you have a meetup zone for you and your cheer squad for after the finish line, because again, it will be mobbed with like, I don't know, 500,000 people. There's 1.5 million plus on the course, but it's gonna be all the runners, the volunteers, the cheer squad, the emergency help, the race staff. Yeah. So once you cross the finish line and you get your medal and your Mylar blanket and snack bag, there'll be a sign that says Runner Reunite Area, and it's always been to the right by Petrillo Music Shell. So you come out of the fenced in area finally, and it looks like we're zoo animals because there's fences, and then there's these humans on the other side looking for the runner. It's so funny. But then you just go to the right to the Family Reunite, and they'll have huge signs with each letter of the alphabet. So you can go to D for dynamite, like have your just pick a letter, and that's where you can reunite with your family. Okay. And then the other thing is the Nike gear. Some of it you can get online already. But there is a Nike store on Michigan Avenue. I don't know, it might be like a mile and a half from Grant Park, which is where the start finish is. But on Michigan Avenue, there's an Under Armour store that will have Nike, or not, I'm sorry, I get so excited. Under Armour store, and they will have all these different iron-ons that you can choose from, and go pick any shirt you want in their store. And I'm pretty sure they're going to have metal engraving, because they have the last few years. And then the Nike stuff, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, they released the finisher jackets on Saturday. So just be on the lookout, like maybe get one of your cheer squad to hang out at the Nike store on Saturday and Sunday. And they can just text you cheers from the Nike store if you're looking to get the finisher's jacket. But they will also have a huge official gear section at the expo. And the expo, it's like I said, as best you can, try not to go Saturday because it will be super crowded. But what was I gonna say? The expo will have of course official gear, but all the other brands will have Nike stuff. There I go again, marathon stuff. Like Brooks will have theirs. They'll have the Gooder glasses. They'll have the feature socks. They'll have Rabbit. Last year, Rabbit, you could buy one of their shirts and get I got a iron-on of the whole Chicago Marathon course. Yeah. So and then on Monday, oh, the other thing is if you guys have heard of the brand Tracksmith, they will be giving away posters. There'll also be an official poster at the expo. And make sure you get it. If you don't know where it's at, ask someone who has one in their bag, or ask a volunteer. It's a must, because then you get it framed. And again, it's a poster you earned, you didn't buy. They are free. But the day after the marathon, Tracksmith, and they have a pop-up, I think in the Chicago Athletic Association, but they have their own poster, and they will stamp your finish time on it, and it's free. And they will be doing that. Actually, they'll be doing it Sunday after the race, and then Monday. Monday, Fleet Feet in the South Loop, they will have, oh my God, the Normatec boots. And they're doing this. They normally have the metal engraving, but they didn't include that in the Eventbrite. But their stamping the race posters too, I think. Check out Eventbrite and just type in Chicago Marathon. But yeah, oh, Lululemon is gonna be doing, Lululemon on North Avenue. It's a Lincoln Park location. They will be doing metal engraving because it's important to get your metal engraved. And then, the last thing is, do not forget my donut run on Friday morning at 7 a.m. And we meet at the Bean, which is also Cloud Gate. It's officially Cloud Gate. The nickname is the Bean because it looks like a big silver bean. And we'll go up Mount Roosevelt, and so you can experience Mount Roosevelt, which only feels like a mountain because I think it's like mile 25 or mile 25 and a quarter. But the awesome thing about it is, again, like you're going up it and there's spectators on both sides, and it's like you're in the Tour de France. They're cheering for you. You got this. Yes, Bev, it is. It's walker, it's skipper, it's hopper friendly. But the only thing, the only caveat is I highly recommend donut attire, even if it's donut socks. And it is 2.62 miles. Get it? Okay. So that is all my advice. Well, no, I have more, but you guys, it's school night. So I will pass the mic to Pilar, and Pilar, just share like, you know, what you wish you would have known about Chicago before you ran it the first time, or anything anything I missed. You're a coach, you know what to say.
Okay. Denise, I've missed your energy so much.
Well, I miss you.
Yeah, it's great. I'm so happy to be here with you. I just want to echo so many of the things that you said. The first thing would be to, in the taper time is to trust your training. I have 2 points on that, right? Everything is in the bag. There is nothing that you do between now and race day in terms of running per se that's going to make your legs go faster per se, like in terms of just like training stuff. But there are things that you can do in terms of rest and rejuvenation and mental, boosting your mental state that can help you to be in a place where you feel like you can tackle, race day. So trust your training, trust that every single thing that you've done has been exactly what you needed to do, and know that even if you missed one run or two runs or five runs, doesn't matter. If you got 85 to 90% of your training done, you did amazing. So don't worry about it. Like, it's really easy to start to get into your head at this time, like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done the other thing. You did exactly everything that you needed to do, and you're going to be amazing on race day. The other thing I wanted to say was to practice the 80-20 rule for nutrition between now and race day. So again, 80% of the time, eat really, really, really great. But it's also okay if you treat yourself to a cookie or ice cream or something that you like, just don't overindulge. So 80-20 rule, I feel like that goes for pretty much everything that we do in our training. And then the third thing that I was going to say is that going back again to trusting your training, which is that you can't catch up. So don't, schedule another 20-mile run between now and then. Don't try to tack on extra miles. Just trust that the process, that this taper time is going to allow your body to catch up with everything that you've done, and trust that this time is also exactly what you need. Um, and then I think the last thing that I wanted to say would be to have fun. When you get to the course, don't forget to have fun. When you get in your corral, make it a point to meet someone that you've never met before. There are going to be runners like all from all over the world. Take an opportunity to find somebody who, you might make a connection to. There are people who I have met at races. I remember there's this one guy that I ran into at the Berlin Marathon in 2019. I'm running along. He like runs up to me. He's like, "You look like you're doing really great." And I was like, "Oh, really? Okay, great, fantastic." I can't believe that you're saying that. I don't feel that way, but okay, that's fine. In 2022 or 2023, when I ran the Tokyo Marathon, I saw that guy again. I met him in the bathroom line. So it's just like, to me, the beauty of running is the connections that we make with the people that we meet on the road. And the marathon is just like this really great party. And it's a great time to meet people, talk to somebody else. Like if you're struggling, chances are somebody that you're next to is struggling, and maybe you can help each other. So use the opportunity to have fun and just enjoy every single minute of the marathon, because you're not going to get another day. If it's your first marathon, you don't get another first marathon. It's your first one, and love it. Love every minute. So that's all I got.
That is awesome. And a lot of stuff I missed. Thank you for being my other brain. Yeah, like especially our first timers, you can never recreate your first marathon. And so just take it all in, instead of running past your cheer squad, do a selfie with them, or high five, high paw the dogs. Yeah. And one thing I forgot to mention is, if you don't get the time, that you are shooting for, just be kind to yourself. If you think about running is so much like life, right? And, racing is just like our training. Where I'm going with that is, tomorrow we may wake up, tomorrow we're like, oh, tomorrow's gonna be awesome. I got this, da, 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 da. And then you wake up and the crap hits the fan and you like, don't even want to face the covers. Get out of the covers, right? And then the next day or Wednesday, whatever, you're like, oh my God, I have so much to do. And it ends up being a great day. It's the same as look at your training. You would, like I said, you may have had weekday runs that were struggle bus and it was only 8 miles, right? And then like you had a 14 miler and you had extra spring in your step. So if life in training is not all rainbows and unicorns and good and bad, how can we expect racing to always be rainbows and unicorns? And again, this is from Denise 1.0. Like if I didn't PR, I would beat myself up. And if I did PR, I would be proud, but then it would fleet. It would fleet so quick because I was focusing on the next PR. Yeah, so just be kind to yourself. And again, like I'm sure there's people from your high school that like haven't worked out since gym class and you're doing a freaking marathon, right? So again, it's perspective and it's the channel in your head. Okay, awesome. Okay, now we'll pass it on to someday going to get certified as a Coach Nicole.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Pilar, for all of that. And Denise, I totally second that. Like your energy is just so awesome. I love it. I gotta channel my inner Denise and just be like, chill. So I think I wrote just a couple things down as both Denise and Pilar were talking. I think just to reiterate, to definitely to trust your training, and this is not the time to start anything new. So nothing new on race day. So please don't wear outfits or anything that you haven't already worn on your long run, just because clothing and things, if you haven't worn it before, you just want to make sure you're not going to chafe, because been there, chafing is not fun. And especially with shoes, I know with a lot of the more racing shoes, or yeah, you can wear them out of the box. I would definitely not recommend that if you're a first timer. You want to be able to get several miles on your shoes, just because they could rub funny, you could get a blister, and that is not something you really want to be messing with. and like find out like, oh, my shoes don't fit and I'm 6 miles into this, 26-mile race, and like now like it's just not good. So nothing new on race day. But also please like don't try anything like you're not normally used to doing. So like don't take up things like rock climbing or go jet skiing, or like, just do like save that for after the race, because you never know what, you just don't want to jeopardize like all the training and time that you've put in. Also, let's see, like focusing like several days prior to the race, you want to like make sure you're increasing like your fluids and electrolytes, not just water, but also like Denise said, like electrolytes, like increase your carbohydrates, because your body really is going to need that energy, and things like avoiding like heavy amounts of protein, because your body needs quick energy when it runs. And so proteins don't break down as quickly. So that's why like carbohydrates, like it stores in your system and like it's quick energy for your body. Focusing on getting sleep, especially a couple days before. The night before, you're going to sleep like crap. You're going to be excited. Even before like a 5K, like I don't usually sleep well the night before. So you're like, try to get your best night's sleep like Friday night into Saturday. Like when things get hard, because often they do, like I've had several races where I've never hit the wall, and I've had other races where I've like completely blown up, crying, just like wanting to quit the whole thing. And so it is about just really digging deep and trusting that you have done a lot of hard things already in your life, and that you can get through this one too. And so even things like looking at signs, and like spectator signs are great. They're like, can be really entertaining. It's a political year. There's going to be like a ton of like political signs out there, and they're just, signs are fun. They're great. They can make you laugh. They can make you chuckle, like, give you inspiration. Sometimes it's, I've done it where like I will dedicate like a mile. I'll think of like a person in my life that's been like very supportive and encouraging to me. And, like, okay, I'm gonna think about them for this mile. And so like I carry them with me. And because I run for Team Paws, like all my donors, I write all their animals on a bandana. And I always ask for mile sponsors as well. And so like every mile, like I know like I'm gonna be running for so I have basically a blind and deaf dog, Blackjack. And so like I'll dedicate a mile to him, or like other donors and things like that. Sometimes it's like, okay, I'm gonna run to the next water stop, and then I'm gonna walk. If it gets really, really hard, or if I'm really struggling, I'll switch to like a run walk, and like I know that I can get myself to finish that way. And just really like, if it's your first marathon, like your number one goal is to finish, and to finish and to feel as good as you possibly can, and just really just take in all the sights and the city and the neighborhoods, and just like they're all like so unique, and they just bring unique energy and vibes to them, and it's awesome. And when you come up, when you crest that hill on Roosevelt and you can see that finish line, it's like all the feels. So that's just a couple things.
Awesome. No, I'm like, you guys brought up so many things I forgot about. I'm gonna get fired as a coach. Yeah, so it's gonna a lot of times, like if I don't get the time I want, I just say I got a PR and fun. So because again, like every training run wasn't awesome. How can I expect every race to be awesome, right? So but rightfully, you can be disappointed in yourself. Yeah, but the difference is we just can't stay there long. You got to Taylor Swift it, shake it off. The other thing is, if you don't get the time you were shooting for, you know, go find another marathon 3 or 4 weeks out because you're at your training peak. And then it's like, you just kind of taper, you just do that taper between the next marathon and that you do very even lighter, less mileage, get the massage, foam roll, massage gun. You heal the body just like you do it's just like a taper, except less mileage. You heal the body and get the mindset ready. And then the other thing I recommend is no matter what time you got, and even our first timers, you are at your training peak. So go race a half marathon. You will fly and you're going to be like, oh my God, it's only a half. This is nothing. Thank God I don't have to do 26.2 today. Or even better, you can find a 50K to do. Yeah. Okay. But that's a separate call. Okay. So I want to have time for any questions. If you guys have any questions, just raise your hand, like literally, or the Zoom hands. Or you can also put it in the chat. Oh yeah. You can put it in the chat or, you know, just post on our page. It's also great to like start, like watch some motivating movies, or I'm reading this book by, I think his name is, let me get it. It's so inspiring. Because, you know, our oomph tank is empty, like sometimes, like our oomph tank can't always be high, that we got to look outside to get the lift, right? And so the NFL player, Steve Gleason, he just wrote a book. I'm trying to find the book. He has ALS. And young, he's had it over 10 years, and like right before he was diagnosed, they found out they were pregnant. But he has no control of, all he has is control of his mind. He has no control of his body. He was doing a TV interview and his wife said to the interviewer, do you want to hug him? And how do you hug him? They hug by, you touch his forehead. But he wrote this book one letter at a time, his memoir. And it's so good. And it's such a slap in the face that, like, to only have your mind, he's so positive. I highly recommend the book. It's like a gift for me to read it. And yeah, there's also a documentary about him. I think it was on Amazon Prime. But yeah, or even like Brittany runs a marathon. It's about way more than the marathon. And even the marathon is about way more than 26.2 miles. It's like what it does for us internally. Without Limits, about Steve Prefontaine. God, I can't even think. But yeah, look for inspiration outside of us. Oh my goodness, this is a great question, Sarah. How much time should you allot for the expo? At least 2 hours. Because again, there's going to be all these vendor booths for the different brands, the running gear brands, and there'll also be products to sample. And like I said, Rabbit will probably have the screen printing again. The other thing I forgot to mention is there will be a CTA, Chicago Transit Authority. There will be a booth there, and they actually have their own map. Not the map that's on the Chicago Marathon website, but their map will have the mile markers and the associated train stops that you would take to get to them. I forgot about that. But no, the expo, don't forget to get your poster. But they'll also have National Running Center, who always has discounted, they have like last season shoes. Yeah, let alone the unique Chicago Marathon merchandise that will be there. The lines will be really long. It is so much fun. It's almost like trick or treating. Yeah. The other thing I was going to say is the Fleet Feet. There's 3 Fleet Feet locations in the city. There's some in the suburbs too, but I don't know if the suburbs will have the marathon stuff. But the Fleet Feets will also have the official Nike gear, and they already have the Rabbit gear. They may have the Gooders. But yeah, and there's also another running store that carries the official gear is Heartbreak. They're right in Lincoln Park. Yeah. So Like for me though, I spend like 4 hours because it's like a party for me because I run into so many of my friends. And then of course all the gear, and I always go, I don't need anything, just get my bib because I have so much gear. And then I always come out with bags. Ah, great question. Duh, Spirit of the Marathon, yes. And then there's the international one where they run, a different group of runners does Rome. Oh, great question again. Do they sell throwaway clothes at the expo? No, I've never seen someone selling them, but I usually like go to Goodwill or like Big Lots or Five Below or Walgreens, or like during the year if there's stuff I'm going to donate to Goodwill, like a sweatshirt. Like I have a pile of sweatshirts ready in case there's a cold morning for the race. But you can just get a throwaway sweatshirt, and I recommend getting a zip up, because then if you're still cold once the race starts, like you're going to wear it past the finish line, but then when you're ready to take it off, it's easy to zip it off. But the Chicago Marathon, like most marathons, they do scoop up all the donated clothes and donate them. I don't know if they donate them to Goodwill or Salvation Army. There's Goodwill and Salvation Army in the city. There's quite a few of them. Yeah. Let me see. But the other thing is you can, if you have a Mylar blanket from one of your prior races, also like after you cross the finish line, you're going to get a Mylar blanket, and then just don't toss it out, save it for your next cold race start. Awesome. Yes, the Five Below. That's, yeah, I get a lot of running t-shirts there. Okay.
I think Laura Trilio has a question.
Oh,
Got her hand raised.
she's got a little, okay, she's got the Zoom hand. Go ahead, Laura. Is this
Yeah,
gonna be your first marathon?
This is my second time starting. My first marathon, I had an asthma attack at mile 15.
Oh,
So
dear.
this will be my first finish line, is what I'm
Yeah.
manifesting.
Oh,
I'm very excited. I'm very excited after this call, especially. So
good.
thank you for your time. It's a school night, so I'll get to it. I think so. My corral, I believe, opens at 6:30, and then we'll cross the starting line at 8:30.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering how much time I need to be in the, like, do I really need to get to the corral at 6:30? If so, that's fine. But you
Yeah,
know,
no, what I recommend is, are you in the third wave that starts at 8:30
yes.
then? That's where I'm gonna be. And
Yay!
I'm gonna be in corral N, and I'm gonna have these big blow up ends. So I'm gonna be
Okay.
fine, because I got a lot of first timers that are
Oh, that's
really
awesome.
freaked out. So I go to the start corral with them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And
in
so,
corral L, which
L,
feels
okay, let's do
great for
this.
me.
L
Yes.
for let's do this. Laura is doing it.
Yes.
What was I gonna say? Oh, so I would say it closes at 8, right? It's like a
Right.
half hour before the corral takes off. I would say like don't get to Grand Park any later than like 10 to 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
The other thing is, if you guys have a running mate who's in like a higher up corral, they can come back to yours and do the race with you, but you can't go up corrals.
Right.
Just as a heads up. But yeah, I don't think you need to wait 2 hours in the corral. I know
Awesome.
they have that on the athlete's guide, but I would try like 40 to 45 minutes before it closes. But
Oh, great. Okay.
yeah, because
So
we're dealing with
this,
other runners in Athletes Village, and we're dealing with uh, um, the volunteers and the race staff and police, and so it's really crowded. And the last, like, there's always only one way to get into your lettered corral, so you want to make sure that you're heading, well, there's going to be all kinds of volunteers directing you. They'll look at our bibs and tell us where to go.
Okay.
But yeah, since there's only one way in, we're kind of moving like cattle.
Yeah. Okay. That's so helpful. Thank you.
And the
I
other,
love your grit. You're coming back and you're
Yes.
closing the
This
deal.
is my redemption.
Yes.
I was
So,
gonna, I was gonna say on that, the other thing too is that the later that it gets, the more people start to arrive. So if you
mhm.
can avoid the rush hour traffic into the corral, the better. So if you get there by 7:15, you're gonna be golden in
Okay.
terms of getting in, and you also give yourself time to beat the lines to the bathroom because it's just think of it as like a groundswell. The
Yes.
more people just every minute, people more and more people just start coming, and then you just, you know, so yeah, you want to beat that one rush getting in there.
Awesome. Thank you. Cool.
I forgot to mention too, like, thank the volunteers. Because they're up earlier than us and we could not be doing this without them. And then what I always do is no matter what race, if, like if I'm in another city and I'm at the Walgreens or something, oh, you're doing the marathon. And I'm like, you can do it too. You got a whole year to train. Or like at the expo, good luck on your marathon, like the volunteers. And I'm like, you can do it too. You got a whole year to train. So start whispering.
I also wanted to say in terms of the mental talk is I train my runners to have like a mantra that something that you can say to yourself when the going gets tough. And I say the going will get tough. It's going to like there has not ever been a marathon or race that I've done that I have not said at some point in time, that's it, I'm quitting. I never have quit, but I say it every single time.
Yes, I do too.
I
That's
say it
right.
every single time. And the question is what are you going to do when you want to quit? What are you going to say to yourself to get you through that moment, that feeling that you want to quit? There's nothing wrong with having the feeling of wanting to quit. It's just like, what'll get you over that hump of like, here's where I am right now. I feel really bad right now, mentally, physically. My legs are, I'm in the pain cave. I'm feeling all this like horror and dread. I've had moments. There was one Chicago, it was super hot. I met my husband. I'm just this is the worst time I've ever had. Why do I do this? And my husband is just like, what is happening right now? I mean, I'm having it out. And it's just like, what are you going to tell yourself to get back to it? So having like some kind of a mantra that you're going to say to yourself, mine is impossible is nothing because you can literally do anything. And when the going gets tough, I just repeat that mantra to myself over and over and over and over again to get myself through that moment so that I can get to the next high, I guess you would say in the race. So you just need to ask yourself what you're going to do when the going gets tough.
And that is all. And we have plenty of time because we're not running as much. We're in the taper. So use it wisely. Awesome. Does anyone else have any questions? When can I sign up for next year's race? All right. Well, again, like if you guys have any questions between now and when the race opens up for next year, just post them to our Facebook page. And thank you so much, Nicole and Pilar, for helping out and sharing your advice and oomph. And do not forget about the donut run. I hope to see you guys there. And then I'll be in Corral N, and then maybe I'll see you guys at the expo.
Sounds
Got
good.
this. Bye.
Bye. You guys got this. Bye, bye, bye. See you, see you.